saying congratulations on the album. It's an absolutely fantastic album, so congratulations.
Thank you, dude. Thanks for checking it out.
So, mate, everything has been going so well for you guys over the years. Did you kind of find it tough going into this album just because there has been so much talk around the band over the last few years?
Surprisingly not. Hey, I think we're just sort of running off all the positivity. We had a heap of new music written that we really love. So yeah, there wasn't sort of anything like that. We'll just keep marching forwards, I guess.
Well, the last couple of years have been kind of weird years for all of us because we've been in and out of lockdowns, and I know you guys are in Victoria, so you've been in the same as me. How did that affect what was going on? Because like we said, you guys were on a real roll right around the world, and then all of a sudden everything locked down. Was that kind of difficult for you guys?
It was definitely hard, especially last year when we started recording the album. It was a very sort of stop-start thing. What should have been like a month in the studio or thereabouts ended up taking us 6 months just because we'd get in there for a day or two and then lockdown would come around again and we couldn't get back in for another month or 2 months or something like that. So it did drag out a bit. That was probably the hardest part. And shows too. We sort of had a lot of shows that we had to cancel because of COVID, but luckily we're sort of back on track now.
Yeah. A few bands I've spoken to that have been through a similar recording process have said that it actually worked out better for them because it gave them that little bit longer to get everything absolutely perfect. Did you find that, or did you just find it frustrating because you wanted to get in there and get it done?
No, I think it definitely helped us in that sort of sense. We got to spend a lot more time doing pre-pro and that sort of thing. But I think when it sort of came to actually recording the album, that sort of felt like it dragged a bit. It was sort of, I think we did guitars and drums and that in a couple of days, and then because of lockdowns, it ended up taking our vocalist Nick 2 months or so to finish the album because he'd go in there and do a song and then couldn't go back in for a week or so. So the pre-pro part was good, meant that we could spend a lot more time on it, but the actual recording part, yeah, definitely felt like it dragged out a bit longer than it should have.
You said that you had a lot of tracks already written. Did you guys actually sit down and talk about what you wanted to do on this album? Like, did you have any goals or anything that you wanted to try?
I think we just really wanted to step it up from Cast You Out, our last EP. So I think we've been pretty much, we sort of want to keep on the same path as that. We're not sort of trying to reinvent the wheel or anything, but it was basically just up the ante with everything, heavier, more grooves, bigger breakdowns and that sort of thing. So I started writing the songs and I just go do pre-pro, record a song, really rough sort of scratch track, show the boys, and then we'd sort of go from there.
A lot of people have talked about the fact it's heavier, but there's also a lot more melody there as well. Was that something that you wanted to achieve, or did that just kind of happen organically?
It sort of just happened organically, hey. Yeah, just sort of as the songwriting started coming about. I think having doing a lot more pre-pro too sort of meant we could, I guess, move stuff around that maybe didn't need to be there, or, you know what I mean, sort of break songs up and change stuff around. And yeah, sort of worked out in our favour. Yeah, we started writing a bit of stuff that, had a bit more melody, I guess.
Were there any things that were influencing the songwriting, especially with the lyrics? Were there the things going on in the world or the things going on even close to home here with the pandemic? Was anything like that influencing what you guys were writing?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I know Nick writes a lot of stuff that's very sort of personal to him and stuff that, he's been through or he's feeling. So I definitely think there's a lot of stuff on the record that is stuff that, he was experiencing going through lockdown and that. But I think too it has there's a lot of stuff on there about what's happening in the world at the moment and how that, I guess, can have an effect on you as well. So definitely.
One of the things that we've all noticed is that you guys all come from different backgrounds, like hardcore, right through to death metal. This album seems to incorporate a lot more of all of those sounds. Were you guys aware of that happening at the time?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, we've always sort of tried to use that in our favour. Davo, our drummer, comes from like a death metal background, and both Tom and I sort of grew up in punk and hardcore bands. So we've always tried to incorporate a lot of them, I guess. So just hardcore soaked in death metal, I guess. But we definitely wanted to on this album just up the ante even more, a lot more sort of death metal style drumming, and still keeping those, I guess, hardcore riffs and that in there. But yeah, just making them bigger and bigger again.
You mentioned before about some of the tracks looking at like really personal things. Tracks like Compound and Fracture certainly do. What's your how do you relate when you sit down and read those lyrics for tracks like that are so personal? Like that must be kind of hard to read what a bandmate's been going through.
Yeah, definitely. And I think sometimes too, like I hadn't read sort of all the lyrics until the album had sort of been finished and Nick had been in the studio. Because of lockdowns too, we can't all be in the studio, so it's sort of Nick and the producer in there. So I guess a lot of this stuff was we heard it sort of once it was finished, and yeah, some of it just it's as you said, it sort of hits home, a lot of the lyrics. But you know, we've got a good support system within our band too, so we're all there for each other if there is sort of any major concerns or anything like that. But yeah, he definitely writes some powerful lyrics that I think a lot of people are going to relate to.
Are you guys ready for that? Because yeah, that is something that really came across when I was listening to this album. There was tracks on there that really, really spoke to me, and I could imagine a lot of people out there reaching out to you guys and saying, hey, I've been through that, or I'm going through that. Are you guys ready for that kind of thing?
Absolutely. We've already started getting a lot of messages, even off our Cast You Out EP, people just messaging the band page to say, you know, like, this song's helped me out with this and that. And I know that Nick loves it, like he loves having a good chat to anyone. If his music and his lyrics can sort of help anyone, then, you know, that's all positives for us.
Yeah. A track like Static Abyss will probably make people look at their own lives and look at how they're affecting the planet as well. It's a really big statement, but a very important statement for a band like yours to make. Are you hoping that people will listen to tracks like that and start to question what they're doing in their own lives to make things better for this planet?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. That's sort of the goal with it, just to get, you know, read into the lyrics a little bit more and hopefully find something that you can connect with, and hopefully it's all positives as well.
Definitely. Now, the self-producing of this album, did that make it easier during COVID because you didn't have to hook up with a producer? And I guess, what are the pros and cons did you guys find about self-producing?
Yeah, it was good because he only lives down the road. He's about 10 minutes from our house, so I could literally work and then duck down there and record some riffs and that. So in that sense, it's really good. I'd say maybe negatives would be like, it's probably good to have some like other ears in the room, do you know what I mean? To have sort of someone else listening in with ideas that might say, nah, we need to do this or that, or yeah, something like that. But yeah, that's probably the positives and negatives I would have taken from the experience. So it was definitely good that it was down the road, but it also meant to, like, we had that sort of comfort of like, I can go to a track today and go back and do a track in a couple of days or something like that, versus if we had been in a proper studio somewhere, it would have been like, right, we've got 2 weeks or whatever it is to do this album. It has to be finished by this date.
Was it important to you to keep it local? Like, being a country boy myself from country Victoria, I kind of love the fact that this album was made and produced entirely in Ballarat. Was that something important to you guys to keep it local?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one day we'd love to go over and work in, you know, one of the big studios overseas or something like that. But we have people in Australia that are doing just as good stuff as, you know, the big names you see getting around. So, I mean, if we can work with someone who's a good friend of ours and, you know, get their name out there even more, then it's all good for everyone involved. But yeah, we definitely wanted to keep it local on this one. We did the same. The last handful of things we've done has all been through Kai, who's recorded all our stuff. So yeah, we'll probably continue to work with him.
Now, talking of overseas, everything's opened back up again now. What are you guys planning to do for the rest of this year and going into next year, especially considering how much talk there is about the band overseas now? Yeah,
there's a lot going on behind the scenes at the moment that I probably can't say too much just yet, but we definitely will be going to places we've never been before as a band. So it's all just a matter of getting the fine details sort of worked out, and then we can sort of go from there. But in terms of that, yeah, we'll tour Australia in about 2 weeks or so, just after the album comes out for the album, and then we've got like a handful more shows that we haven't announced yet, sort of local ones. We've got Beechworth, we're headlining Beechworth, Metal in the Mountains Festival, and then we play at Froth and Fury in Adelaide in November as well. So hopefully by the end of the year, early next year, we'll start to get to go overseas and do a couple of places we haven't been yet.
How excited are you to be able to get back out and do shows in front of your fans again after the last couple of years?
So exciting. Even just the start of the shows we've done this year, we've been travelling a fair bit. It's just been, so good to know that we can actually go and do it versus, and, announcing a show and sort of just waiting to see if it's actually going to go through. And I think we ended up cancelling more shows last year than we actually played. So finally be able to jump in the van with all the boys and go play a handful of shows, it's so much fun.
Now, this question got added very last moment because a friend of mine actually asked me this question this afternoon, and I said, I honestly don't know the answer. Have you guys ever had Nicolas Cage reach out to you at all, or has that never happened yet?
Not yet. I'm hoping someone showed him our band. I know his son's pretty into his black metal or something like that, I'm pretty sure. So yeah. I'm hoping maybe somewhere along the line he's seen us and showed him, but I don't think he has much social media either, so it's a little bit hard to tag him in anything. But hopefully one day he will come across it, and hopefully he does enjoy it too if he does. Yeah,
his son's a huge metal fan. We've actually had him on this show before talking about a movie, and he was talking about his metal show. So maybe when you guys get to the States, he might head along and check you guys out.
Yeah, that'd be mad.
Well, mate, to wrap up the interview, what would you like to say to everybody out there before they take a listen to this amazing album?
Thank you for the support so far. It's been a crazy couple of years, but it's all, we're so happy to be back on the road and playing our shows and putting new music out. So, thank you to everyone who's picked up a copy of it so far. And if you haven't, be prepared to get your head caved in, I guess.